A remote community in northern Alberta, made up of multiple First Nations, is demanding action to deal with potentially cancer-causing contamination. Local leaders claim the federal government first learned of the issue 7 years ago and say it was only revealed to the community by a third party this summer. They're calling it a cover-up and a case of environmental racism. CTV's Andrew Johnson reports from Fort Chipewyan.
It's an idyllic spot on the tip of Lake Athabasca, about 200 kilometers north of Fort McMurray. But locals believe beneath the surface in Fort Chipewyan is a dirty, potentially deadly secret.
Seems like when they get caught in an act, they don't know where to go.
They claim there's been a government cover-up in the area around what locals call the Big Dock. This summer, low water levels on the Athabasca River prompted local leaders to ask Transport Canada to dredge the area. They say the request was refused, so they looked into hiring a contractor of their own, who then dropped a bombshell.
This thing I can't touch because federal government did some tests on there and they found it to be contaminated.
Turns out a report into contamination was produced for the federal government back in 2017. But for 7 years, locals insist no one said a thing to them, so they've continued to fish and swim. The site is listed as a medium priority on the federal contaminated sites inventory. Transport Canada says it can't dredge the site because it would move contaminated sediment and that it's working on a remediation plan. Federal Transport Minister Anita Anand's office adds, "There is no risk to human health based on the Transport Canada risk assessments that have been done over the years." People here strongly disagree.
We've buried a lot of people from rare cancers here in this community, and you have to live in this community in order to know the truth about what's happening here.
An Alberta government report released a decade ago did find higher than usual rates of bile duct cancer in Fort Chipewyan, but the health ministry says there hasn't been a new case registered here since 2017. Dangerous contaminants aren't the only concern. Low water levels are threatening travel here on the Athabasca River. For a town you can only drive into in the winter, that's a big deal, especially during wildfire season, when if you can't fly, the water is the only way out.
With water going down and we're not able to get out and not able to escape like the fire that happened.
Chief Adam fears a lack of action could eventually threaten his people's entire way of life.
You won't be able to swim in it, you won't be able to eat the fish from it, you won't be able to eat the livestock that go to it whatsoever, and most of all, you won't be able to live there anymore.
A bleak future that could see a community forced to pack up and leave. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Fort Chipewyan, Alberta.